Hi, and welcome to this week's episode of Syrup Shots Gaming Podcast. I'm one of your hosts, Tyler, and with me today is Dave, the Collector.
Hey, I'm Dave, the Collector, apparently.
So,
ladies and gentlemen, this is actually a Syrup Shots mini-sode. Unfortunately, we are all functioning adults, technically. And
by definition.
By definition. Lots of us have lives outside of the podcast. So unfortunately, a good number of our friends who join us on this have been either through work or family obligations been unable to attend today. So we hope them well and that they can all join us next weekend.
And if not, a pox on them.
Yeah, a pox. Yes.
So with this week, because we're doing a little bit of a mini episode, we're going to do a get to know your host better episode. So Dave, I found this great 50 question thing on Reddit from Dirk Saxon is the name. And I'm going to put a link in the description below so that way everyone can take a look at this thread here. 50 questions to get to know you better as a gamer, Dave.
All right. So thank you, Dirk Saxon. Any relation to Dirk the Dairy?
One can only hope.
Oh, that would be great. Got to get your John Bluth Studios references in.
All right, real fast though, before we start this, I've got a gaming gripe of the week. Okay.
Okay. Yeah.
So, why do people hate children, Dave?
Well, I hate certain children. There are some children that are delightful, but having worked in Toys R Us retail for an extended period of time, I can also say some children are absolute monsters. And
a child can be terrible, but children in general are good, correct?
Yeah.
So why are the scalpers taking their Happy Meals?
Is this about the Pokemon cards?
This is about the Pokemon cards.
My buddy, one of the other teachers at work was talking about this. It sounds like the teeny beanie baby craze all over again. Because he was just like, dude, you'll not believe it. I went in. The guy bought 50 Happy Meals and then just threw away the food. Wait, what?
Yeah, because they can sell those cards. Because each pack comes with one holographic for more than the cost of the Happy Meal.
Oh. I thought we were going to talk about they're taking away my happiness by, buying up all the PS5s and Series X's, which I am very jealous that my a-hole brother was able to purchase. I'm not jealous at all. I'm very jealous.
A stands for awesome.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Your awesome hole brother.
My awesome hole brother, yes. Who hashtag get done on this podcast, hashtag quit being a lazy boy.
Yes, he's being so lazy with, his teaching classes and miscellaneous work. And
I know, but that's his excuse every week. I'm going to get to the point, though, where it's just like, Doug, what are you going to do when you, have a kid? Are you going to be busy for the softball games and stuff, too? Or...
So, Dave,
I shouldn't pick on him too much.
So let me ask you.
He is busy. He worked. He's a Stanford kid. Oh, Hercules!
Oh my! Let me ask you, Dave. Did you used to collect Pokemon cards?
Yeah, and I even tried to get back into them, but then I realized I used the metaphor, trying to take a small drink from a fire hose a lot, and that was another one. So really, I stopped. I stopped trying to recollect them again, and I actually had gotten some decent cards, and I was able to sell those to recoup the money I had spent. And then what I did was I was in a play, and one of the other, it was 12 Angry Men, and so it was me and 11 other guys. And one of them was a grandfather, and he would bring his grandsons to the show for rehearsals, just to kind of watch him. He was like babysitter. And they would, they were nice. They would play, but one of them was always with the Pokemon cards, and he's always like sorting through them. He had to have been like 6. He wasn't very old. So all the ones that's just like, it is not worth my time to sell these. It is not worth my time to do anything. So I kept all my originals. So I have some from the original base set, Jungle, and Fossil, and that's about it. That's kind of where I drew the line. But everything else, I just packed into a giant box. I walked up to this kid and then just go, here you go, and like tossed it in his lap. And then watched as I blew his mind. It was kind of like, Dobby, Master has given us Pokemon cards. And just, they were all over the floor of this playhouse by the time, because he was sitting out in the aisles just kind of looking through each one, but he would like arrange them so he could see them all. And by the end, he had covered the floor, this massive floor space, just looking at him like, oh my God. And so Fred was the guy's name who was his grandpa, and he's like, okay, thanks, Dave. Now help him pick him up. Okay, the cost to get rid of these is fine, so I help pick them up. And I go, now I'm not coming over to your house when this happens again. He goes, I know. Thanks for that, by the way.
So, curiosity, if you have some of the base set, do you know how much a first edition Blastoise is going for these days?
No, I don't. I may have one of those still, though.
If it's in mint condition, it's between 12 and 1,500.
Wow. I had a first edition Charizard when they first came out, but I ended up selling that so I could finance Mario Party 2.
Oh, Dave, that was a bad investment.
Well, I played with this card, though, so it was not perfect condition.
A played first edition Charizard today goes anywhere between $800 and $1,000.
Okay. But I still have that Mario Party 2 complete in box, and I think that still goes for some money as well. But I'm happy with that purchase too, because I sold it right at the height of the initial fad. Yeah, and I could have held on to it for years and years, but there was a lull in Pokemon. There certainly was. So I would say when they started coming out with like the decks themed after like the gym trainers of the first series, that's when the card market started to crater.
Yeah.
It kind of pulled GameStop. Great GameStop stock.
Man, you know what? People invested all that GameStop stock. They should have just invested in Pokemon cards.
Oh, yeah. If you can't make your money back, you can at least
play a game.
Blow the mind of a child.
Yep.
Just wipe. I blew that kid's mind so much it reset to factory settings. It was just
fantastic.
Mm-hmm. Okay, right. But I had heard about. I didn't know what it was. Is it like a special set for McDonald's, like a promotional set? Like
it's their new Happy Meal toy, where each Happy Meal comes with a booster pack of 3 random cards.
Oh wow!
And these cards are exclusive to McDonald's, and I think there's 50 of them in total.
Wow! So that's actually kind of cool, But it kind of reminds me also, like when the movies would come out, you'd go to the theater and you'd get that set of like 4 cards or whatnot. And like I still have my Ancient Mew card, stuff like that. Hey, the second movie I always thought was better than the first.
So, complete side note here. There's a video on Did You Know Gaming that you should watch. It is about the creation of Lugia, because it is the only Pokemon that was not developed by Game Freak and the Pokemon Company.
Really?
It was developed by the director of the second movie, who intended it to never be in a video game, and had very different expectations from what it turned out into.
Oh, I get one of those kind of situations. That
Yep.
happens a lot in anime, actually, where like, especially if like they're doing it off of like a comic series. You know how they'll go up to like the point where the comic has, you know, has they've caught up with the comic, and the comic's creator is still publishing, so they have to invent like mini seasons in between and stuff. That's why Dragon Ball Z is so messed up. Like you have like the Garlic Junior saga and stupid stuff like that. So that doesn't surprise me in the slightest, though.
Yeah. Gosh, I love Dragon Ball
Mm.
Z. I love Dragon Ball Z abridged. But please support the official creators.
Mhm. Yes, yes.
So, but enough about Dragon Ball and Pokemon and other things that really defined our childhood. Let's talk
All
about
those
your
Pokemon.
childhood
Oh, okay.
with these questions, because I imagine a lot of them will kind of dive deep into your childhood.
Okay, cool.
So, Dave, first question: favorite game of all time?
Oh, jeez.
I know, starting off tough.
Oh, yeah. You know, again, it's like picking children. Which is your favorite child? You know, honestly, though, it has become like easier. My favorite game of all time. And again, like I've said before on one of our previous podcasts, it's probably, you know, it'd probably be easier for me to give top tens and then they be in like a category. But
Hmm.
I would probably say that my favorite, though, and just because it is literally a celebration of video games, and pretty much the rules for video game crossovers have since been broken by this series, and that would have to be Super Smash Brothers. You know, and I would say that because it is literally video games, the video game. If you this is like the even Ultimate. Ultimate is the best iteration. I know I will have some melee people who will try and fight me about that, but good luck with that while you're trying to carry your heavy ass CRT TVs up the stairs, things like that. But it has the most character. It is literally like, remember when you're in middle school and you're like drawing a picture in your notebook when you're supposed to be paying attention, and you've got like Mario fighting Link, and then Cloud Strife is up in the corner, and Sephiroth, and oh, let's get Ryu from Street Fighter. That's the game. That is what the game is. It is literally your middle school testosterone caffeine addled brain comes up with, when you're 13 years old, trying not to pay attention to the cute girl in class. I mean, that is what that game is. What your brain does.
Do not disagree. Although
Yeah.
instead of doing doodles in class, I would try to write out off the top of my head Pokemon teams to train for in the games. Like the Pokemon, the move sets, trying to figure out what it covered.
Mhm. For me, what I did, because I'm an artist and stuff like that. So what I did, I learned a lot of drawing actually because I would copy the pictures from like game guides and magazines, and so
Hmm.
you would frequently see me with a copy of Ocarina of Time strategy guide or the latest Nintendo Power and a sheet of drawing paper and pencil and just copying the pictures out of that. And that was kind of like, I guess that's kind of the way stages go for like drawing. You start with the basics, and then, as a way to get better, you start trying to copy, what you do. And then the next stage after that is like, well, I know that this looks cool from copying it, but how can I make my own cool thing? And the more you play with it, then the more you can be like, well, I can draw the cool thing now from the magazine, but I can also draw it doing what I want to do, like right now. So I'm currently doing like a series of little paintings that I have been posting on Facebook, actually, that you've all seen, that have like little messages with game characters on it. And so like some of them I do have to edit from the original pictures, but since I've trained myself, it's no problem to just kind of change something around. And so I've been having fun with that. But that's what I would do mostly. And would sometimes get reamed. Mr. McCausland, are you paying attention? Plop, 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 plop. Totally. Mm-hmm. What are we talking about? Yes. Yes. I would love to hear more about the Byzantine Empire. Actually, that class I did pay attention to because that was an awesome teacher.
Yes, it was.
It was mostly math class that I did not pay attention to.
Yeah, sometimes math class could get
Pretty
there was.
dry, yeah.
So, complete side story here. My senior year in high school, there was one
Mhm.
math class I was in that a girl was very kind enough to start bringing a pillow for her desk because I would fall asleep every day in class and my head would just go back on her desk.
Wow. Mm.
All right,
Should have taken
but
her to prom. She was being that nice to you.
uh, I was dumb in high school, and I did not know how to date well.
Tyler, so was I. I was hanging out with a female friend, for like all of my senior year. And so people were like, "Are you guys dating?" And then she would look at me, and my brain finally just realized, probably about a year ago, she was waiting for me to say yes. Dang it.
Oh
Oh, well.
well, hindsight's 2020, and
Exactly.
but actually, it's better than 2020 because 2020 was a terrible year.
Yes, yes. Okay.
But
Well, this gets back to a topic.
yes, I was gonna say we're
Yeah.
we're going down the rabbit hole a little too much here.
Yeah.
Dave, what's a game that you thought you'd like but ended up hating?
Ended up hating Odama.
Aiming.
No, man.
Thanks, Odama.
Thanks, Odama. No, there have been like a number of games like that, and usually Odama was by far the worst, though, because I remember them talking it up on like X Play and stuff like that, and I was just kind of like, and at this time, aside from being a Nintendo fanboy, I was also starting to think of myself as like a gaming elitist,
Mm-hmm.
which I was beneath those first person shooters that no one would shut up about and things like that. And so I was playing games like Eternal Darkness and everything like that. Oh, I guess I was a hipster of gaming. Oh, Eternal Darkness, you wouldn't have known about it. But that was one though that was just like, oh my god, this is trash. And again, as I have said, I can find redeeming qualities in lots of games. But other games, though, that kind of slowly or very quickly lost their appeal. I loved playing it in the arcade for short bursts, but the Rampage games,
Mm-hmm.
like Rampage World Tour, I loved the claymation art style, and it was always cool to see in the arcade. But playing it on a home console, you start to very quickly realize how repetitive it is, and nothing new or interesting ever really happens. There's not really any major boss monsters or anything to kind of change up the flow of it. I honestly think it made a better movie than a video game at times, which is something. Um, Again, I've said before, Space Channel 5 is one, though I really liked the art style. Sega has like a distinct style from that time period, the end of the 90s, because 1999 was when the Dreamcast came out, and then until it very quickly died. But they
Right.
had like a really nice style going for them at the time. There was Sonic Adventure, Space Channel 5 was very stylish, Jet Set Radio was also a very wonderfully done artistic game, and just lots of stuff like that. And so I thought Space Channel 5 was going to be that, and I lucked out finding it at the dollar store. Now, this was like a dollar store where suddenly, like, it wasn't uncommon for like things to wind up there that like other stores had finally just given up on trying to sell.
Mm-hmm.
Now we see that at our local Goodwill. Like, it wouldn't be surprising at times to find like some Target stock in your local Goodwill as like a write-off. But at the time, it was the dollar store, so you could find like, remember those old Pokemon figures that came with the Game Boy that fired like the like little ball on the string, which was so
Oh
weird.
yeah, yeah.
But it made so much sense at the time. You know, you could they had those there, and then they had some nice DVDs. Like I could find like anime series at the time. I managed to find the entirety of Speed Grapher one time, which I still have on the shelf here. And
Nice.
so I found Space Channel 5 for the Dreamcast there at the time, and I had just gotten a Dreamcast. And so I'm like, okay, well, for $1, I guess I'll try anything. Famous last words, I guess. But I plugged that in,
So
and I just come to find out I could not keep timing with that game to save my life. Now, I could probably maybe try it again, but it was like, you defeat the little aliens that are like invading, with their music and stuff like that. And they do little dances, and you got to watch their moves. So it's just kind of like, left, right, shoot, shoot, shoot. And then, it shows you that, and then you got to do it beat for beat perfect after and there's no like little meter like there would be on like Parappa the Rapper on top of the screen, hit these buttons as it hits, or like Donkey Kong. It didn't have that. And so that was another one that I'm just like, this sucks, even though like I like the art style and I like the character of Ooh La La and stuff like that. There are many others, but those are the ones that pop out on, right off the top of my head. But I mean, if we were to go downstairs and look through my collection, you'd probably, oh, Dave has a Legend of Kage. Well, that's crap. Mm-hmm. Why do you have it? It was $1.
you were literally that guy from RoboCop. I'd buy that for $1.
Yep. Mm-hmm.
Dave, what's a popular game everyone seems to love, but you don't like?
I do not like Grand Theft Auto, and I have said before, though, that, again, I don't particularly care for war shooters. I was always more of a sci-fi guy, because I just, killing just people or being just, that, like kind of a gangster or something. One, I have to be in the right mood for it. Like, I do love movies like Pulp Fiction and Reservoir Dogs. Those are great. But those are not movies I'm plugging in all the time, though.
Right.
Yeah, but and so like playing a game like that where that's all you do, again, my mood for that kind of material is not something I can like sustain for long periods of time. I could probably sit and watch every Godzilla movie back to back to back just because I like that kind of material regularly. And so that's why I can play like dumb stuff like that, or like a sci-fi piece. So like with games like Call of Duty, Grand Theft Auto, or stuff like that, it just can't hold my attention. And then sometimes you're doing these terrible things, and I'd just be like, I'm not having fun. Like when I heard about the infamous No Russian mission in what was that, Call of Duty Modern Warfare, I believe, the one where you're shooting up an airport, and I'm like, I couldn't play that. That's BS. I couldn't do that. That's just because it's not me. However, shooting up a bunch of aliens, demons, zombies, and again, as I have said, Nazis aren't people. That's fine. Okay. And even then, my World War II shooters are Wolfenstein, which is basically, it has zombies in it too, and monsters and stuff like that. So I don't mind. Yeah. I liked Resistance as well. That was actually my first game for the PS3, but I don't mind like fiction, like historical fiction, though, where it's like, oh, we got to kill the Nazi zombies or the Cold War aliens, stuff like that. So, that's fun. But, I would say the Grand Theft Auto. And then one other game series, though, that I am going to give another chance to, but the one I could never get into, because at the time, no one would shut up about the multiplayer of it. And it was just like, what's the story to this? Because that's when I play a game, I want to have fun. But I also want to have a story told with me. Even if that story is crap, as long as the gameplay's fun, I can, that's fine. That's why Mario Brothers is so great each time, because the plot is the princess has been kidnapped. Okay, here we go. Do.
Right.
But Halo, I could not get
Ah.
into when it first came out on the original Xbox, because everybody was just like, "Oh, it's so great!" You shoot them with a rocket launcher, and then you hop on a warthog, and then after you blow them up, you can teabag their corpse, and it's just like, okay, well, the powered armor and everything looks pretty cool. I like that, and the weapons do like that Stinger one, the one that looks like you're shooting a radioactive porcupine. Hey, that's cool. What's that all about? What's the story of the game? What? And just no one could tell you at the time. Like, at least at our high school that we went to.
Talk to Joel one day, because Joel plays Halo for the single player.
Okay. And I probably should. I mean, now that people have like slowly leaked things to me, like Phil has said, like, oh, like the rings are kind of like a gateway to something, to like other worlds, or like it was like a locking mechanism or something. I'm like, well, okay, that sounds cool. But, at the time, no one could tell me that. And so all I had to go on was, okay, there's a great multiplayer mode, which is just shooting people. And there's a killer opening soundtrack when you start with a men's choir that slowly turns into a nice rock ballad.
Dave, what's a game you didn't expect to enjoy but ended up loving?
Ooh, that's a good question. Yeah, I got it. Okay. There's actually a couple, and this is why me and Doug are so good at recommending games for each other, because there'll be times though, but like, he has recommended some winners for me, and even though I got burnt out on its direct sequel, I was originally completely uninterested in Fallout 3. And Doug, I believe, had gotten it for the 360, but Doug also, even though he loves it, he can't do it as much as he used to. But I mean, Doug built his own PC, his own gaming PC one time, because he was so good at that stuff. He still is. It's just he doesn't have the time investment anymore to do so necessarily. And even then, he said, when he would get on his PC to play games, the problem he would run into is that his doctorate school mode would kick in, and it's like, you should be working if you're on the computer. So that's why he's gone strictly consoles. But at the time, he wasn't. This was well before. This was when he was in high school, and I was in like my first year of college. And he's just like, look, I'm enjoying this. But I got to admit, I want to play this with a keyboard and mouse and max it out on my PC. But if you want it, I'll sell it to you for $30. And I was just kind of like, well, show me what it's all about. And so I started watching some stuff. I'm like, oh, it's okay. And then I plugged it in and started playing it. And then it's just, some of that crazy stuff, like, was happening. And what was, crazy, like, I get to the town of Megaton, and I had named my character Jericho. I'm like, ooh, I'm Jericho. There's a character in Megaton named Jericho, and he has a house in there. And it's just like, oh, Jericho's house. Oh, this is my house. Wait, why do I have to lockpick into my own house? Oh, this isn't my house. And Jericho gets in and starts shooting me up, and I'm like, okay, this is interesting. I haven't really encountered a game like that where I reset and started that over again. But then you like run into the guy who's like, I'm trying to blow up and set off the nuke that's in Megaton, and I'm just like, why are you trying to do that? And then, the more I played, the more fun I was having. And then, you meet up some of these crazy events that can happen, and these crazy characters. Like, and then in the end, I had Fox, the super mutant, following me around with Liberty Prime, the giant fighting robots. and another member of the Brotherhood of Steel just going to town on this stuff, and it's just kind of like, yeah, this is awesome. And then I played through all the DLCs, really enjoyed them. And then I played all of New Vegas, and I like New Vegas even more, the main game, because I liked the setting that much more. However, there were some enemies in there that could go die in a fire. But by the time I got to the DLCs with that, it was just some of the stuff was just so repetitive in the DLC. It was just kind of like, oh, we fired the main team and had all the interns make the DLCs. Oh, it'll be fun to do this 3 times in a row. No, it's not.
Fetch quests.
Yep. Nope. Old World Blues. I started that DLC and I'm like, nope.
Dave, what game have you spent the most amount of hours on?
Ooh. Well, in recent memory, that'll be Monster Hunter World. But, there have been games, though, that I've spent, a lot of time on. But in recent memory, because there's also some games that we'll just never know, because this was before games started tracking how much time you had invested in them. But the cumulative amount of time over all iterations of it, I would probably say Super Mario World probably has my most time, because I've played it over, Super Nintendo, the Game Boy Advance, the Wii release, the Wii U release, the Super Mario All-Stars release on Wii, stuff like that. And, that one actually probably is my favorite 2D Mario, just because, well, one, the introduction of Yoshi was so cool to me when I was a kid. And then while I really loved Mario 3, I would always say their color palette on that game was limited. And then Mario World was that much brighter and more colorful, and that's why I found it more appealing. Because, really, I would say in Mario 3, there's a lot of black, even. I mean, even Mario's overalls are black, and that's just due to the system.
Yeah.
But, with this, but then, there was, the keys to enter hidden passageways in the world. Yoshi, you can find wings for Yoshi and take off to, this crazy, coin heaven world. And then there was all the power-ups. And then, depending on which shell you ate for Yoshi, you got a power-up. And, that was really cool to me. And I loved finding all the stuff in the overworld map. And then, everything was silly, and it's named, Donut Plains and stuff like that. I ate that up. But games in recent memory, though, I got my PlayStation review of the year, and the game that I had clocked the most hours in was actually Persona 5 Royal, which I platinumed, and I thoroughly loved that game. I had so much fun with that. I guess it comes back to others, though. It's if a game was not on my radar, but Smash Brothers thinks it's good enough to be on there, suddenly it is. So, that was one, though. I had played Persona 4, and I loved that, but I had yet to get Persona 5. Actually, I was waiting for Royal because I played Persona 4 Golden. But then finally, when it came out, though, that was my game to play, and even more so because it's well, wow, if Smash Brothers was good enough to take notice of this, a character who otherwise has not appeared on a Nintendo console, this has to be something special. And it was.
Dave, if you had to marry a video game character, who would it be?
Oh, wow, geez. Preferably a woman who couldn't hurt me. So that's going to narrow down, because it's just if you're looking at my room around here, though, okay, look, okay. So Dave has, okay. Oh, wait, that's Supersonico. No, she'd be fine. Okay, we got Tracer right here, and then we turn the room a little more. Oh, we've got Cameo Street Fighter over there. She can kick my butt. And then we've got, Yuna from Final Fantasy X. Oh, but in her gun wielding, no, she could shoot and kill me to death if she wanted to. God, oh, that's silly. The characters though that I've found like really appealing in games that it was just kind of like, oh, your wife material. Elizabeth from BioShock Infinite was definitely that. She was brainy, but also not like completely useless. There were definitely characters in Persona that, in 4 and 5, that it was just like I was so sad when the game was over because it's like, oh my god, I'm losing friends. So like Chie Satanaka from 4 was kind of this cool rough and tumble tomboy, but she could be a sweetheart. On and Haru from Persona 5 were sweet as well, while also being a little spunky.
Makoto
But
for life.
you can have her. I didn't dislike Makoto at all, but it's just like she is too involved in her books, it seems like sometimes. And that was cool about her character arc, though, was trying to get more out of it. But still, it's just like you're a bit uptight. But if I had to pick one to marry out of all the games, I would probably pick Elena from the Uncharted series, because she's really down to earth and has fun, likes video games, and tries to challenge her husband at them and stuff like that. So, yeah.
Dave, if you had to live in the world of the last game you played, what world would it be?
Of the last game I played?
Mm-hmm.
Oh, well, I'd be dead, but I'd be in Ghost of Tsushima, which was the game I just finished. I finished that last week and platinumed that too. I know some people are like, wow, Dave platinums games. No, I have platinumed 4 games now. Okay, that is the 4th. One of those games is Lara Croft Go, which is actually a cell phone game they put on the PlayStation Vita. So please don't be like, oh, Dave platinums all these games. No, Dave just happened to platinum 2 in the last year. So I'd be in Ghost of Tsushima, and I would probably be, have my head on a Mongol warlord's pike, and paraded around in front of the death marauders of Mongol invaders as a warning to all the other islanders of Tsushima not to come near.
Dave, who was the first character you had a crush on in a video game?
First character I had a crush on in a I wouldn't call it a crush, but it was the first time it was just, I guess you could say, just like a video game girl went from being, first you had my interest, but now you have my attention. But and they were designed to be like this. But, excuse me, that would have to be Hitomi from Dead or Alive 3. The brunette.
I know who you speak of.
Yep. And then when they made Dead or Alive Extreme, it was just like, mind blown, just like, because God, we were what, 14 when that came out. We were exactly what that demographic wanted to. That game was utter crap at times, but, ooh. You can get this swimsuit, and it's really not a swimsuit. Why are they wearing clothing at all? We played that at a party one time, and the girl was there. A couple of female friends were. Why did they even wear clothes like this? And then what was even funnier, that like they were talking about the jiggle physics in the game. And then, then we had more fun talking about that. Oh, these jiggle physics are a bit like water balloons in an earthquake, Oh, I'm sorry.
No, you're good.
No. Why is my phone going off? Dad, shut up. Sorry.
You're good.
I love my dad, but he always has parent timing. What you doing, son? Why are you here?
Dave, what's the first game you ever remember playing?
Oh, Pitfall on the Atari 2600. Now, as I said in a previous podcast, my dad bought me the NES when I was 6. And I still say that that was a gift for both himself and me at the same time. Because even though now he's like, "Oh, really? I did that?" I'm like, "Yes, you did." And then mom's also in the corner going, "Yes, you did, honey." But he had the Atari 2600, and my favorite game was Pitfall for that. Even though, I was hardly any good at it. My goal was if I could get past the alligators, it was a success. But for those of you who don't know, the alligators, I believe, are the first screen of the game, and then the swinging vine jump. Well, that I could never do. But that was like the first I remember playing. We also had Missile Command, and then other kids in my neighborhood had games. Popular ones were, of course, the original NES Ninja Turtles game. Even though it was so hard, we loved it. And then I got my NES. I had Super Mario Brothers with the Duck Hunt cartridge and Castlevania. And then I think one of the third games I got, and then which made my house quickly become the go-to place, was because, and I think everyone will agree, Ninja Turtles 2, the arcade game on NES, is worlds better than the first, and
Oh,
I had
100%.
that. I
100%.
got that, and everyone else just had Ninja Turtles 1, so it's just like, oh, let's go to Dave's house because he's got Ninja Turtles 2, and that's so much better. And you can play multiplayer on that one. I don't recall. Could you play multiplayer on the first one?
No.
I didn't think so, yeah. I know you could pick your turtle and switch them out, but I didn't think multiplayer was involved.
You are correct, sir.
Mm-hmm.
Dave, did you ever pretend to be sick to get out of something so you can play video games?
No, I may have canceled a few things, though, that weren't necessarily. I may have canceled out of a few social engagements I didn't want to go to do things like that. But I was always a good enough kid, though. I never wanted to pretend to be sick or anything like that. However, and you will remember this, though, that didn't stop me from wanting to celebrate the occasion of a video game launch or something like that. And so I believe you remember when we were in high school and Super
Roly
Mario
Poly, right?
What?
It was for Roly Poly, right?
Oh, okay. I did call off work the one time, but no, it was Super Mario Sunshine, and it was its release day, and we were stuck at school, and I may have dressed up as Mario that day and gone to school, and I had filled my backpack with Super Mario treats because they had these candies they would sell. It was like Super Mario Ring Pops or just Nintendo Ring Pops. And you would eat all the candy, and then there would be a little ring that had Mario's head on it, Or they also had these awesome jelly pops. And these were kind of like a gummy kind of thing, but then they had frosting decorating all of the characters on it, and they had Mario, Link, Donkey Kong, and Yoshi. And I bought every box at the local shop and save it had. And so for one class, it was kind of like, well, did you bring enough for everybody? And so that was the one point where I'm like, yes, I did. Blam! And I pulled out 4 boxes of those jelly pops, and I believe there was 16 in each one. And so it was just like, well, what's the occasion? Well, it's Super Mario Day, didn't you know? And so, no, I never. I got out of social occasions, but never. I never called in sick necessarily for game launches. I always, for me, even though yes, I joke and say work gets in the way of play at times, though. But I always take my responsibilities very seriously.
Fair enough.
Mm-hmm.
Fun little side note, real fast here. A fact I learned about Super Mario Sunshine recently.
Mm-hmm.
Question for you: is Yoshi in Super Mario Sunshine?
Yes, however, he's a nerfed Yoshi, that's for sure.
He is not in Super Mario Sunshine.
Yeah.
The Yoshis that you ride in that game are drawings of Bowser Jr., and that's why they dissolve in water.
Really? Has that been confirmed?
Yeah, I
or is it a
believe
game
so.
theory kind of thing?
It may be more game theory, but it makes perfect sense. You know.
Oh, it does. Yeah. Everything else dissolves in water. Yeah.
Yeah. Also explains why there was no green Yoshis.
Yeah. Because he was green as soon as he opened, but then it was immediately turned to another color.
Yep.
All right. Yeah. Interesting.
Right. Dave, what's the last game you completed?
Ghost of Tsushima.
What's the game you're playing right now?
Oh, I actually I loaded it up last night. I'm a big fan of really artsy games, and so again, when I was kind of going through my elitist Nintendo fanboy phase, and really those words should not go together in a sentence. But that's when I discovered the games from the company Grasshopper Manufacture. And, they're famous for No More Heroes. And at the time that it came out, the one that got on my radar was Killer 7. And that is an excellent game. I will still say, and that's one of those ones where it's just, I guess you could start the argument of games as art. Mm-hmm. And so I have followed their games pretty closely. I try to get up every release that they can. And mostly Killer 7, I mean, the director of these games, Goichi Suda, he really is kind of the Quentin Tarantino of gaming. And so, but kind of like Quentin Tarantino, how a lot of his movies, while similar and kind of have this kind of punk aesthetic to them, so does he, but there's always like a different theme. So Killer 7 was great. It's about a assassin who has 7 multiple personalities, and as you play, you can shift between them to get better abilities. And then followed up by No More Heroes, which, it's about a crazed otaku guy who buys a lightsaber off of eBay and then decides to become the greatest assassin, and it's dumb fun. And, I love to an extent No More Heroes. That's another one you could say maybe the gameplay loop on that, though, on the first one at least, fighting bosses and the levels were amazing. Doing all of the mini games to get the money to get there, that was crap. But
second one was much better.
Yeah, I heard that. But there's one that came out, and I've played all of them, like Shadows of the Dam, but I hadn't played this one yet. But I've loaded this one up, and it is Killer is Dead. And I'm looking forward to trying it because Ghost of Tsushima, I platinumed that, and it was a rather long game. So I wanted to have just kind of a quick little fun one to play while I decide to start up my next one, which is going to be what my brother got me for Christmas, which is Yakuza 0. And
that actually answers the next question.
Yeah, okay. But then Killer is Dead, I was looking up at how long to beat. They're it's only 10 hours for everything. And I'm like, oh, well, okay, that's fine. I've wanted to play it for a long time anyways. It'll be my palate cleanser of games until I start up Yakuza.
Fair.
So that answers the next question?
Yeah, the question was, what's the game you plan to play next?
Yep, Yakuza 0. There's still several on my list, though, for this year, though, that I do need to get to. I do need to find out what all the controversy in The Last of Us 2 is about. But for how much I enjoy, I imagine I will enjoy that game. I always try and come with a clean slate with games, and take it for what it is, as opposed to, I think a lot of people sometimes come in with an idea of what something should be before they, watch or view it, and then ultimately, when it doesn't match up with that, they get disappointed. Whereas with me, I try and always come in, and it's just I don't know what to expect. So if I have fun, then it was a success. And I guess that's why I can have games that, some people are like, oh, that was terrible. Well, I had fun with it. Even Yoshi's Story.
That game hurts. That game hurts in the soul.
Well, I'm not going to say it's a amazing game, but it was, it was fun for what it was. Was it hard? No. But I had fun with it. And it was a source of humor for years because my brother was young enough and his voice had not changed that he could mimic the voices pitch perfect for the Yoshis. And so he stop it. he could do that, whatever he would do. And he had a Yoshi plush toy that he would play with, but it was perfect vocals to go along with his playtime.
Nice.
Mm-hmm.
Dave, this question is going to hurt as much as Yoshi's story hurt me.
Okay.
In your opinion, what is the best game console?
Oh. Again, that would be one I'd argue there's different ones for different reasons. And I could argue the points for a lot of these that I have hooked up to the TV right here, and that I've got hooked up downstairs on the classic TV because I keep a CRT TV to play the old school games because they just don't look good stretched out on a big screen. Right. And plus, like modern TVs don't even have the component cables anymore to
component or coaxial.
Yep. So I can certainly tell you ones that are trash, though, that I don't recommend to anybody. But as for best console, I'm going to take a mulligan on that one. Pass.
Cop out, but okay.
Mm-hmm. But I can tell you the Atari Jaguar is hot, flaming garbage. That is a crap system.
Do not disagree. Dave, are PC gamers really superior to console gamers?
They'd like to think they are, but then again, going with me being the collector, a lot of them will be like, well, I have such and such many games, on my PC. And I'm like, well, no, you don't. If Valve suddenly decided, nope, you don't have a collection anymore, and you have spent all this money on pretty much nothing. So on the one hand, yes, I will admit, you do guys get the superior graphics. If you can max out the thing, you get the superior graphics, the superior performance, the superior sound. Yeah, you can get it. Amazing. I will not deny you on that. You are the PC gaming master race on that. But on concept of ownership, I'm sorry. Console games have you beat, hands down. And, there are just some experiences that you're not going to get on a PC without some significant gymnastics to kind of make workarounds. Like, I know, well, emulators are just as good. Not really, because you got to mimic the hardware that the original game was on, which some stuff, it just doesn't work that well. That's why, nobody has ever tried to really port Sega Saturn games. And that is a story why that... but, there's a reason why no one does that, because it's hard as balls to do. And so, all of those nice Sega Saturn games, Burning Rangers, Nights into Dreams, Virtual On, those are kind of lost on PC gamers. So I will say it's a double-edged sword with PC gamers. Yes, you are the master race in getting audio, visual, and performance perfection. You can just... Your answer to that problem is to throw more money at it to build what you want. However, with that, though, you have lost a concept of ownership, really. And also, if a PC is all you have, you've also lost out on some amazing games, though, that you would not get otherwise.
Fair. Dave, what's your opinion on Fortnite?
It's fun to crap on Fortnite, and this is because before I got my current job, I was working a stint actually in hospitals and orthopedic clinics, actually, as a patient access. Mm-hmm. And it was a great job at the time. I don't regret it, but it was definitely not what I wanted to do. But the number of Fortnite-related dancing incidents for fracturing of toes and feet. I'll just put it this way: the number should have been 0.
Kids can't
Should have
floss.
been 0,
Kids
but
can't
it's
floss.
not. Yeah. Oh, it's not. The number was not 0. Oh. And then, there's a kid with a cast on out in the main lobby, and he's doing a Fortnite dance in the middle of everything. And it's just like, what are you doing, stupid? And he's just like, oh, it's Fortnite. And I'm like, you look like an idiot. Do you realize that? And, you were wearing a cast. Anything you were doing to your foot, you're just making worse. And no, but he's trying to pop and lock doing a Fortnite dance. Other than that, though, I actually love the aesthetics of Fortnite. It's like a nice hybrid mix of kind of like American comic books and slight anime aesthetics, kind of like how Overwatch is. I actually consider them pretty similar in terms of like how they do human faces and stuff.
Mm-hmm.
And also, that's another one where it's like a great melting pot of other game or just pop culture licenses. Because they've had like the Thanos and Galactus event with Marvel superheroes. They have John Wick in the game.
So
and,
just this season, they have the Mandalorian, the Predator, the Flash, Green Arrow, Kratos, Master Chief, and they just finished a big Marvel one. So you have Marvel and DC together. You've got Sony and Microsoft.
Yeah. So, hey, Nintendo, if you really want me to play, if Epic really wants me to play Fortnite for this bounty hunter thing, you've got my favorite gal. Just saying, orange power armor or blue zero suit. Not going to complain.
Dave, I have a theory.
Yes.
If they introduce a Nintendo character, it will be a bounty hunter, but it will not be Samus.
Captain Falcon?
Captain Falcon. Can you? Because Captain Falcon.
That would be true.
Yeah, and he would have the Falcon Punch as a taunt.
Oh, that would be amazing. Other than that, I love like some of the costumes. I think they're really funny. I think some of the action figures I see in the aisle are hysterical. So now, like the one game I do not understand why people like so much, though, and the one that I like to crap on now is Roblox. Because that is a steaming hot pile, and I'm just seeing, I'm like, okay, this isn't even Minecraft with the charm. Minecraft's graphics were simple, but at the same time, they had a charm to them, and it made sense. Roblox just looks like the crappy game you make your freshman year in game design college. But no, Fortnite, I make fun of it mostly for the dancing students and the injuries people have sustained from it.
Fair enough. Dave, have you ever watched a Twitch stream?
Yes, one. I'm not one to really watch gameplay, like people just play the game, because I'd rather do that myself and play it. But I do think, though, for YouTube people, though, who take the cutscenes of games and edit it to make a film, because sometimes it has been a long time between games when I play their sequel. So, like, for example, I never thought Bayonetta 2 was going to see the light of day. And then it does. And then I'm just like, oh, this is great. What happened in Bayonetta 1? And someone had cobbled together all of the cutscenes and made a Bayonetta movie. And that was great. I could just watch that, and then I understood. But as for Twitch streamers, I like kind of like the clip shows. Like Video Game Donkey is probably one of my favorite YouTubers. But, he takes like clips of his gameplay and then has like great, funny little observations or commentary about that. I like that. So I like more people who are like going to review or have like a fun kind of jokey, kind of like a bit or a skit out of it. But just watching people straight up play the game for like hours on end, I'm like, no, I would rather play that. But the one Twitch stream I did watch, though, I was actually part of a Reddit gift exchange, and I got partnered up with this with a Twitch streamer as my gift, the person I gave a gift to, and so to kind of gather ideas on what she was like and what gift I should send her. I watched one of her Twitch streams and to see which stuff she was really into. So that was the one and only time. And even then, I only watched it for like a half hour, and I'm like, okay, I think I can get some of this. So I got her like some little desk toys, like a Kirby plush toy and stuff like that.
Nice. Have you ever streamed yourself on Twitch or YouTube?
Does this count?
Not really, because it's not live. I think the question is more about live streaming.
Oh, no, not really. I'm not opposed, but I'm just kind of like, again, I guess because, when I'm gaming, I'd rather, enjoy the game, watch the story, kind of figure things out on my own, and be able to cuss as loudly as possible on really hard parts and not be judged by the world.
Fair enough. Dave, this mini-sode is not so mini. We're already at an hour.
Okay.
So let's do some rapid fire here on these questions, okay?
Okay. Rapid fire, wrap things up.
Cool, because we're not even at 20 questions yet of the 50.
Oh, geez. Okay.
But you know what? Great getting to know you here. I think this really I think this really kind of dives into your mindset around video games.
And hey, ladies, I'm single.
And on that note, have you ever used a walkthrough?
Yes. I was a big fan of the Nintendo Power Strategy guides. I still have a lot of those. And GameFAQs. Anymore, I try not to, but on like really hard games like Bloodborne, Facts to Life saved my life. Yeah, so yes, I do. I will use walkthroughs, but I try not to as much.
What's the best weapon you've ever used in a game?
Ooh. Oh, man. You got to admit the BFG 9000 and Doom in the Doom 2016 is an amazing weapon in that game.
Have you ever had to stop playing a game because it was too scary?
No, because by the time I had gotten old enough to where I was interested in those games, like the tricks that would do that to me didn't work so well anymore. As I said, I liked Eternal Darkness a lot. And, there was always this kind of like, oh, no, what's going to happen? But it was never enough so that I would be like, oh, I got to stop, There have been emotional moments where I've had to stop and take a break, but it was never fear.
Fair. Let's see here. Has a game storyline ever made you cry?
Yes. And actually, that was actually Ghost of Tsushima has a side quest. I won't say spoilers, but it is with a elderly like family friend, and by the end of it, that was the one where I did have to stop playing because I was crying so hard. It was honestly like a 30 minutes until I was like, okay, I'm calmed down enough. Let's play. Okay.
What's your favorite fighting class? Warrior, mage, or rogue?
Oh, darn, spell sword's not an option. Because I like to dabble in. I guess then out of those, I would pick warrior. Usually, like when I played Skyrim, my big thing was shield in one hand, single-handed axe in the other, but then I would switch out the shield to whatever spell I needed at the time. So, like, oh, here comes this guy, flamethrower. Yep.
Let's see here. What's your favorite game genre?
Ooh, really, I would say probably like the action adventure genre. Usually, I love my platformers and stuff like that. But the ones that really kind of get my blood going, the ones that really, always make me go like, yeah, this is the kind of game. I would include like Tomb Raider, Uncharted, Ghost of Tsushima in these categories. But when I'm like flying, Breath of the Wild could be considered this. Well, actually, any Zelda game. But when I'm running around in this big world and I could climb up on stuff I would never physically be able to do, that is just a magic to me.
Do you prefer multiplayer games or to go solo?
Go solo. As I said, getting older, not as good as I used to be in the multiplayer games. Doesn't mean I don't try.
When you do play multiplayer, do you prefer co-op or player versus player?
I prefer co-op. That's why I'm such a big fan of Monster Hunter World, and we've talked about this previously on the podcast. But there are player versus player ones that I always do love. I do love, fighting games, but I enjoy playing them with you guys in like a party setting, where no one is necessarily better than the other, unless we're playing you in Street Fighter Alpha and you're playing as Cammy. And in that case, we're usually punching you for doing that, like you would do when your friend picks Odd Job in GoldenEye. Oh, you jerk!
Cannon drill.
I hate you.
All right, Dave. What's the first console you ever owned? I think you've answered this one already.
I think yes. My first console that was given to me was the NES. However, the first console I bought with my own money, actually, though, was the Nintendo GameCube. And me and my brother, we saved our allowances probably for about half a year to fit the $500 bill that we were going to have with that at launch, because we wanted the console, we wanted Luigi's Mansion, Star Wars, Wave Race, Pikmin, and Smash Brothers. But we managed to luck out though, because then Smash Brothers and Pikmin were delayed by like 2 or 3 months. So
weeks.
Yeah, that's right.
Smash Brothers, it was just weeks.
Yeah, so that helped us too, and so my brother was able to get Star Wars Rogue Squadron, which also is probably one of the best licensed games of all time.
Oh, 100% agree. There is yet to be a better Star Wars game in my book.
Mm-hmm.
Who got you into video games in the first place?
That would be my dad, that Atari 2600, but then also, again, like I said in like our first episode, we were talking about kind of our gaming history. Video games were always like a fun time to have until like the 3D years, where I was just kind of like, oh, this is an amazing form of entertainment. This is my jam. But it's funny, we had kids in our grade school who were like gamers at the time. Now I would say they never grew up to be that, beyond that. But I remember other times though, they would be talking with stuff. I'm like, oh man, that is really cool. You know how kids go through like phases with like their interests? Like, I guess that was theirs at the time. And I just remember how cool that was. And then the very next year, I got my Nintendo 64. And so that was just kind of, I guess, like and even then, like I still say I go through phases with the things I like to collect, but more so it's like moods now, because, but that was like the big one that kind of like blew up into something much, much bigger.
Let's see. What's the longest amount of time you have sat playing video games nonstop?
Oh, jeez. I do always try and, take a break, but as I've gotten older, I find that rather than try and go for little snippets of time with gaming, I can fit in 3 hours in the evening. I don't like to do that. I like to sit down and play until I feel I need to stop, not when time deems I need to stop. So anymore, I'm kind of a weekend couch gamer warrior. But so like that's why I'm looking forward to tomorrow. Like with Killer is Dead, so I can just sit down and play that. But I'd say probably some of the longest times I've ever sat. But there was one time I sat down and played actually for again another Grasshopper manufacturer. I sat down and played the entirety of Shadows of the Damned in one day, and that's probably like a 15-hour long game.
If video games didn't exist anymore, what would you do?
I'd probably invest a lot more in tabletop and board games. Yeah.
Fair enough. What is your favorite song from a game?
Oh man. Right now, it's Last Surprise by Shoji Meguro and the Persona 5 soundtrack.
Have you ever wanted to live in a world from a game? If so, what game and what world?
You know, I guess maybe not so like a specific game world, but I always thought it would be cool to, and I guess that's why we like escapism so much in the games, is because things that would never happen in real life can happen there. And so, it's cool to imagine, like what if magic really did exist? What would it be like? I imagine living in that world kind of thing. So I would say never one specific, but I have taken elements in like daydreaming, like, what would it be like, actually if, we did have the Force, or, if we did have this other stuff. So there's been things like that. But I guess, even at the end of the day, it's just like, it's fun to imagine, but, I'm glad I'm here in reality.
Have you ever, I'm sorry, which video game character?
I did just think of one. I would love to eat a meal, however, in the Monster Hunter world.
Oh, those palicos, those cats can cook.
Oh, yeah. This is the only time it's just like, oh, my mouth is watering. None of this is real, but okay, I'd like to eat a meal in the Monster Hunter world.
That game and Final Fantasy 15, best food porn for video games.
Best food porn, all right.
All right. What video game character do you most wish you were like?
I don't know. I guess it's hard because, you always imagine yourself in situations like, well, maybe I'd be this brave if something, like a disaster or something happened. Really, one of us would probably be like, I'd probably be the first to throw a chair through the window to get out of the building if like it was on fire or something. Would you go back and rescue them? Probably not. But I don't know. In many ways, I guess I wish I was more like a Monster Hunter so I could eat a meal in the Monster Hunter world.
Fair enough. What's a game you've spent the most amount of money on?
Oh, okay. Geez. Does this include?
I already know the answer.
Does this include like DLC contests or?
Yes, I would say anything that is supplements and adds to the game.
Jeez. Unfortunately, then it's probably, and even then, I haven't played it that much. But well, no, I played it a good bit. Actually, it's probably Street Fighter 4. Actually, that has probably gotten the most of my money.
That is incorrect, Dave.
Oh yeah,
Smash Brothers with all the amiibo.
Oh, well, yeah, okay, yeah. I guess you could. I thought we were just thinking actually, but yes, Smash Brothers with all the amiibo has been the most that has gotten my money. However, for individual games, the most I have dropped really on the most I ever will drop on like a used game though has been a solid $100. And I had to do that for a couple titles like Castlevania Dracula X for the Super. And one of my favorite games from when I was little, and our wonderful composer for our jingle that debuted last week actually had this game, and we would constantly play it. Was a Little Samson, and that was a great game. But in the years since that game came out at the end of the NES library, and since it is considered such a good game, the price for it has skyrocketed. And there were so few copies produced in America that, to put it in perspective, what I did, and it was cheaper to do this, I bought as like a gift to myself for getting a new job at the time, and getting like health insurance benefits and stuff. I bought a Nintendo Famicom, the Japanese version of the NES, and that was like $150, I think, because it was refurbished too and had been cleaned up real nice. And then I put out a like eBay search that would automatically pull listings for Sere Densetsu Little, which is the name of the Japanese version of that game. And since it's all told in like pantomime and and cutscenes that have no dialogue, I didn't care, if I got the Japanese version of the game. And sure enough, I got a hit on it probably like 3 months later, and the Japanese seller was selling it for $100 for an official Japanese cartridge. But that was it, just the cartridge. And so I snapped that up. And it came with a little card that said it had it in Japanese writing, and then under it in English he had written "Arigato." And, well, thank you very much. But I have Little Samson now for my Famicom. That is probably my favorite NES game, though. Yep.
Nice.
But so yes, I've paid the most money for Smash Brothers, but in terms of actual shelling out for like a single game, it's been usually about $100.
Okay. All right, Dave. We are really pushing the clock here, so let's do some real rapid fire, like 1 or 2 word answers. Okay.
Okay.
All right. Let's see here. If you could have one power of any video game character, what would it be?
Uh, Control telekinesis.
Who do you usually choose as a fighter in Super Smash Brothers?
Zero Suit Samus.
Xbox or PlayStation?
PlayStation.
What are you hoping for at the next E3? Or let's edit this because E3 is kind of a funkiness now. What's the next big announcement you hope to get this year?
Metroid Prime 4.
Who is your favorite villain from a video game?
I've always been particular to Ganondorf.
What is your favorite game from your childhood?
Little Samson.
Are there any games you're really bad at? Like really bad?
I've never been particularly great at racing games.
Have you ever seen somebody get really angry when they lose?
Online and watching videos of bad losers on tournaments, yes, but never in person. Yeah.
What's your favorite game series of all time?
Super Smash Brothers.
What's more important, action or story in a game?
Put those hands together.
Is there a game that is considered to be really bad, but is your secret guilty pleasure?
I'll admit I did actually enjoy Sonic the Hedgehog 06.
Ooh, okay.
Yeah, I know it's a turd, but
if you could have any video game character as your best friend, who would it be?
Jeez. I'll just say Mario to keep it easy. Make some spaghetti and go to town.
If you could marry any game character, who would it be?
I thought I answered this one already. Elena from
I think the question earlier. Yeah, I had edited earlier because it was
Hmm.
supposed to be from the last game. Who would you marry?
Oh, I gotcha.
Did I just thinking? But okay, cool.
Okay. Okay.
Um, let's see. Would you rather have loads of time to play games but only be able to buy 2 games a year, or be able to buy loads of games but never have much time to play them?
Put those hands together. I have. I do well enough in my life that no game has ever really been out of grasp. Now, it used to be quite the opposite, though. It's kind of like that diagram meme that you see in when you it shows like a kid, an adult, and then a senior, and it's
Hmm.
like kid, uh, time and energy, but no money to buy games, and then adult, money and energy to play games, but no time, and then the last one is senior, money and time, but no energy to play games, and I'm like, well, I'm solidly in the middle right now.
In your opinion, what is the worst game of all time you've played?
I'm gonna have to go with Odama on
Odama.
that one. Yep,
All right.
yep.
And number 50, the last
Okay.
question.
Last question.
Would you give up video games for life to receive $5 million?
No, no, I would not. Because the amount of joy have received in playing games and the memories I have from like playing with you guys and going to events, is it's priceless. It's just that has been worth more to me, and I mean the stories that are in my head that have been told through games. That's just incalculable in price.
Dave, this has been a very intimate, not so mini episode.
Yep.
Any last thoughts or things you'd like to share about gaming?
um, I think we've covered quite a bit of it. I'm looking forward to Killer is Dead and Yakuza Zero. If anybody else has recommendations for me or any of the other guys. Oh, I did think of one thing. I did think of one thing I do want to tell. I played Ghost of Tsushima at the beginning of this year, actually because of something us hosts of Syrup Shots Gaming did at the beginning of the new year. And what it was instead of like getting each other gifts or anything for Christmas, what we decided to do was each member would pick another member's game for the beginning of the year, and so then that person would have to buy it and play that game as their first game of the year. And so Chris actually got me to play Ghost of Tsushima, and so I really enjoyed that. And so, I hope we do it again next year because I had a great time with it. But I think we should maybe talk about that more in the future. So if you want to know what the other guys got for their games of the year, you'll have to have a listen in the future.
I'll never tell until it's my turn to do the intimate, not so mini episode.
Well, I believe that would make you next.
Fair enough. Well, thank you everyone for listening to the newest episode of Syrup Shots Gaming Podcast. A couple quick notes here. First off, again, thank you to Jake Tweedy for making that intro music. Again, check out his band on Instagram. It's Hubris Debris Band, is what you should look up. They did a phenomenal job. Thank
Hmm.
you, thank you again, Dave, for making the great new logo we have.
Oh, you're welcome.
Um, and in the coming weeks here, we are going to start a series called The Line, where we take a deeper look at where do we personally draw the line on hot topics in video games, such as where do you draw the line on uh, violence in video games, sexuality, religion, things of that nature. So if you have any thoughts or questions about where lines should be drawn, or if they should be drawn, please comment, uh, share. I'm going to post this in the group on Facebook as well. That's the other thing. Feel free to join the Facebook group, Syrup Shots Gaming, uh, on. I'm sorry, not YouTube, on Facebook. I'm special. uh, But other than that, Dave, any other last thoughts or musings?
We'll see you next time.
See you next time, Space Cowboy. So, everyone, thank you. Be safe. Be kind. Bottoms up.